Welcome to the second episode of Blessing. Thank you for your visit. Today, let us continue discussing corruption, information, and state society relations as part two of the earlier episode. From our first episode, we learned that in Section 1, Article 2 of our Constitution, sovereignty resides in the people and all authority emanates from them. We established from there that Filipinos are the sovereign of this land. Section 4 furthers that the Philippine government has a primary duty to serve and protect people. As the Filipinos are the sovereign of the land, the Philippine government plays the exclusive role of the country's first rate civil servant. Everyone in the government office is presumed a first rate civil servant. The elected officials, the political appointees, and the state employees who obtain their employment through regular hiring process and office tenure and promotion, subject to civil service laws and regulations. Section 13 further states that duties and responsibilities of any civil servant extend to promoting and protecting Filipinos' physical, moral, spiritual, intellectual, and social well being. As the children and youth are the least in our society, aligning further our metrics with the Supreme Divine Governor's own, these young ones are therefore the most important sovereign Filipinos whose interests deserve to be served directly or ultimately in this nation. So, if we see children and youth thrown to streets to survive, protesting against corruption in the streets, or enmeshed in crimes indicted for offenses on the account of their false discernment over wrongful acts and deeds, that we give more than enough time for older people to process and admit to themselves or publicly, this all show systemic failure to serve the first rank sovereign Filipinos. So their cries are so innocent, and regardless of their political ideologies, their individual visions for this country are ideal, with intentions and outcries so purely articulated and pure themselves. They can even sound the alarms in heaven enough to shake up a nation to examine its course of action. And thankfully, the Philippine government responded. State offices attempted to do their very best in the short period of time. State officials stepped up their game to intensify and fast track office undertakings. Let us summarize the most important ones. As to report of the Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, from 18 to 19 names flaunted as persons of interests and facing legal wraps as early as September 2025, the list has actually grown to over 1,000 to nearly 2,000 names by October 2025. Job vacancies in DPWH surged to that number last week as a result. Then, from mere three localities, the list grew to 4 to 5. So, there are around 22 names filed for cases of graft and malversation of public funds. 20 of these are government officials and two are private contractors. And the cost of project on the average is 100 million per contract. As to report of the Anti-Money Laundering Council, or the AMLC, in September 2025, it froze assets of involved persons consisting of 135 to 592 bank accounts, 30 insurance policies, 73 vehicles, and 18 real properties. In October, freeze orders total 2,000 bank accounts. So far, the frozen assets are in the amount of 5.2 billion already. And this still small compared to hundreds of billions of pesos for preliminary identified cases. Such exclude further unaccounted cases. Altogether, investigations are taking place in DPWH, legislative levels, and ICI. DPWH is in active collaboration with the Philippine Competition Commission or the PCC, Commission on Audit or the COA, and Office of the Ombudsman. And recently, the Philippine government assigned former DOJ Secretary Crispin Boying Remulla as ombudsman and is presently probing allegations on possible involvements of some public officials and government employees. Though a month back, 16 DPWH employees were already suspended to give way to investigation procedures. Civil society organizations or CSOs from church sectors and volunteering professionals, as well as the private sector from the corporate officers and associations, extended assistance to the Philippine government, as intimated by Senate President Tito Soto, and as also shown in different channels, to give way to participatory audit of DPWH projects, and for some to extend assistance and engagement in budget hearings and reviews. Through the sharing of Bishop of Caloocan, His Eminence Cardinal Virgilio Pablo David, we learned some personalities involved in the controversial projects actually sought spiritual counseling. And this gives us hope for their possible conversion. And may the churches, Christian, Islamic, independent, and non denominational ones unite to offer strongman support to court the coming out and encourage the disclosure and hopefully their participation in these projects. As human beings, we understand their fear for their lives and families' future of public censure that is losing societal face, stature, and political influence and privileges. But for the concerned parties, we need your heavenward gaze and good hands shall attend to you. Let us acknowledge the hard work of the media sector and individual volunteers for putting up sensitive news. And as of the moment, may the Philippine government work out a facilitative guideline on public access to SAL-N. The Civil Service Commission is further requested to develop SAL-N formats and templates ready for public accession in the near future in the interest of transparency and accountability. There is a growing dissonance on the state of investigation in our country, but we appeal to fellow Filipinos for patience, sobriety, and forbearance. But we request the Philippine government to cut further execution time by 50 to 70% as much as possible. This is one option to doing things. Okay, we can tap state universities that offer fiscal and tax administration courses at undergraduate and graduate levels, especially the ones who are doing their research or thesis or dissertation. State universities are chartered to extend assistance to state offices. And in this particular moment, when the Philippine government needs additional hands, our intellectual warriors being trained in the schools can land suitable exposure and hands on experience. They only need to be trained. And schools have professional and academic associations that act as internal networks. So their participation would cut down time by 10% at the very least. There are also a number of unemployed and underemployed virtual assistants and college graduates trained to read numbers and collect data. That's 5 to 10% increase in efficiency. And the internal system would adjust accordingly. So this is the time that the state can play an activist role in expanding short-term employment opportunities to serve the ends of anti-corruption campaigns and genuine reforms in the government. To address dissonance, we need to stand as undivided sovereignty. We cannot sustain an internally divided sovereignty over the long term as we rely on global community assistance to support and protect our country's strive for external security in face of tensions happening in our waters. Shortchanging the investigation process shall stop investigations, make things more uncertain for us, and require much longer and steeper learning curve. Okay, whereas if we just simply make our procedures more efficient these days, we're talking about a shorter time frame, less costly option politically and in pecuniary terms. So let us look forward, though, to case coverage of 51% from the existing list between November and December 2025. For the new items excluded from September list, let us give the Philippine government its committed 6 months more from last week.